Hello magicians and acrobats, Aaron here, back with another video. Welcome Lyney to the stage, our newest playable performer in Genshin Impact. I don't want to waste too much time with this intro, but before I get into it, I want to mention that I will not be using any unreleased imagery since that will most likely get my video taken down. That is no bueno for me, so I will have placeholders instead. Also, if you like my content, take a bite out of that delicious, show-stopping cinnamon cookie flavored subscribe button. But now that that's out of the way, let's hop right into the overview. Lyney is a bow-wielding single-target charge attack mono Pyro main DPS character. Its charge attack has 3 components to it. First, he needs to charge it up to level 2, and it charges pretty fast compared to Ganyu's and Tignari's. After he hits an enemy with his second level charge shot, it will summon a cat in the hat that will taunt enemies. Each enemy has a separate cooldown of 5 seconds for getting taunted. Only one cat in the hat can be on field at a time. It does also have health, and it can be destroyed. If it is destroyed, or when it expires after 4 seconds, or if another is summoned, it will fire a pyrotechnic strike, dealing a pretty large amount of damage. Also, when a level 2 charge shot hits an enemy, it will summon another source of Pneuma-aligned pyro damage, but only once every 6 seconds, or about once every 2 or 3 charged attacks. What's Pneuma-aligned pyro damage? Well, I don't really know, but I know it does have something to do with some overworld faction-y stuff. It's not too important right now though, but I want to mention it because it is a consideration. But for the sake of this video, it is just some more charged attack damage. Now, if you think we're done with this charged attack section, you were mistaken. The final part of his level 2 charged attack has Lyney lose 20% of his max health per shot, but only if he's over 60% of his max health. In return, Lyney gets a prop surplus stack to a max of 5. If he is not above 60% of his max health, neither of these effects will activate. In short, you can charge up his bow to level 2 and fire it to deal a lot of different instances of pyro damage while building stacks and losing health. Up next is his skill, which is really simple. It's AoE burst damage, but with a few bonus effects. Lyney's skill gains more properties based on the amount of stacks he has. Each stack increases the base damage of his skill, and each stack grants him % health self-sustain. This skill can also be used while Lyney is aiming or when he is in his burst, which will cancel his elemental burst. Finally, it's time to talk about his elemental burst. Lyney turns into a cat in the hat and runs around with a spotlight from above that follows him. Any enemy that enters the spotlight takes 1 instance of pyro damage and cannot take any more damage from entering or exiting the spotlight. After 3 seconds, or when cancelled using Lyney's skill, Lyney will erupt out of the hat, dealing AoE pyro damage, summoning another cat in the hat, and gaining another prop surplus stack. Lyney is a damage dealer at heart, so his Ascension passives help increase his damage potential. His first one increases the talent scaling of his cat in the hats by 80% if he consumes HP with his level 2 charged attack. His fourth increases his damage at base by 60% when dealing damage to an enemy affected by pyro. Additionally, Lyney will gain an additional 20% base damage increase for every other pyro member that is in his party, leading him into that mono pyro role. For Lyney's talent priority, the best you could do is level up his normal charged and plunging attacks first, because they take up the most of his damage output. Up next, barely matters. His burst deals more damage than his skill, but it's not too much, so you can level up his burst first or both of them at the same time. Onto Lyney's combos, which have very little variety. In general, you're going to want to use 3 charge attacks, then burst and cancel it with his skill, then repeat the rotation. This would be the case for all compositions. However, his best comp does not provide a shielder, which is very detrimental for those that want to use Lyney's charge attack playstyle without interruption. So you do also have the option to use his burst defensively, which is especially useful if you can't dash. Onto a quick overview of all of his constellations, which are all just pretty decent. His first is about a 10% damage increase. It's just pretty solid, as it's a modest damage increase. His C2 grants him crit damage over time, averaging to about 30% crit damage over the course of his on-field time. This leads to about a 10% damage increase. This number can fluctuate depending on if you use his charge attacks first or burst in skill for the defense. It's still decent though, just not too great. His C3 is the first constellation in the game that increases the talent level of normal charged and plunging attacks over that of skill and burst. This is incredibly important for Lyney and actually increases his damage output by about 9%. While it is just more damage, it's quite a good amount and leads to a decent damage increase. His C4 is also good as it shreds pyro resistances by 25% when he hits a target with his charged attack, which gives him some great offensive utility. In total, this will increase his damage output and the output of any other pyro damage by about 9%, which is pretty fantastic. His C5 5 increases the level of his elemental burst. It's his worst constellation though, as it increases his damage output by only about 3%. C6 is his best damaging constellation, as it allows each charged attack to send out another shot that deals the same damage as a pyrotechnic strike from his cast. This leads to a decent 23% damage increase. While it's not as much as some others on its own, when paired with all his other constellations, he will end up dealing about 78% more damage than his C0 counterpart. All around, his constellations are pretty good, but none of them actually help fix his single target issue. Instead, all make him even more of a menace against one enemy. His only constellations I see that are worth it would have to be his 4th for the utility, but that's so far down the line that I don't see it being worth it. Other than that, I see no reason to pull for any of the other ones, unless you like him and plan on willing. Now onto artifacts. While Lyney may have a lot of different artifacts he can use, there's one that blatantly outscales all of them. The new Mareishose Hunter set is his signature artifact set, and should be used on him as it increases his normal and charge attack damage along with stacking crit rate when he loses or gains health in any way. There are other options like Lava Walker, Wanderer's Troop, Crimson Witch, or some two-piece mixtures, but they are all significantly worse by 17% or more. There's a little reason to use anything else, but do keep in mind that this set lowers your crit rate cap to 67%. For main stats, you're looking for HP, attack percent, pyro damage percent, and crit damage with very little variance. You can also use a crit rate circlet, but it will be harder to build into due to the 4-piece artifact effect. For substats, looking for about 120% energy recharge, a strong 85-170 crit ratio, including the 4-piece effect at a minimum since he barely needs any other stats, and finally attack percent with again little variance. Onto weapons, where Lyney has some decent options. On screen now are the damage numbers for each weapon in single target scenarios when Lyney is paired with Bennett, Kazuha, and Xiangling. Here his best high investment weapons are his signature and Aqua Simulacra. His best dolphin weapon is Scion of the Blazing Sun, and his best free-to-play weapon is the prototype Crescent. However, only some parts of Lyney's kit are specifically single target, so if we switch to AoE situations, we can see that some things have changed, though not much. Here his best weapons are the 5 stars or the free-to-play prototype Crescent and Song of Stillness. Everything else is rather underwhelming. For those free-to-play users or those on a budget, I would say the best option in general that you have is the prototype Crescent. But if you hate that weapon, then the free-to-play Song of Stillness or the Battle Pass weapon Scion of the Blazing Sun will do just fine. Before I discuss team comps, I want to mention how little versatility Lyney has, because it matters. Lyney is made for mono pyro compositions with very little leeway of about one teammate. Lyney's personal damage without his Ascension 4 base damage buffing passive is not as insane. It's pretty good, but the extra boost is a game changer. Lyney also cannot utilize Vape effectively, since he will lose his 60% base damage buff. Though he can technically pair well with Virgin, he does not have large enough AoEs to make use of it the same way that Toma can, and he would also have to build heavily into Elemental Mastery, which is a stat that he just does not want. The point is, Lyney at the current moment has very little versatility. The only comp other than Mono Pyro that he can work in would be Burning or Air Fryer teams, due to the high burning potential, lower reliance on Lyney's personal damage output, and the fact that self-burning with Lyney would instantly grant him full stacks of the Mareishose Hunter set. But even then, that's a stretch, since you would lose out on a lot of the factors that makes Air Fryer strong. If you're going to use this comp, I'll recommend running Venti, Kazuha, and Yao Yao, or Baizhu as a substitute for Kazuha or Yao Yao. However, there's still his main mono pyro composition, which will be superior. Here you'll want to run Xiangling, Bennett, and Kazuha. While Xiangling might not have any competition, Kazuha can be replaced with Venti, Jean, or Lynette if you don't have him. But you also have the option of a Zhongli. While he will lead to about a 24.5% damage decrease for Lyney over Kazuha, he is a very safe option that enables Bennett, who is important for both Xiangling and Lyney. The issue with Bennett is that he won't stop Lyney from getting knocked back out of his charge attack animation. While he may offer an insane and unmatched damage boost, it can be much more beneficial to use another character that can actually protect Lyney if you don't want to or can't run Zhongli. While you can replace Bennett with Dea, she is very underwhelming as she can't battery, her damage resistance is limited, and you won't actually have a character that would help keep her team alive, nor would she help deal damage. If only there was a Pyro character that could do that. Oh yeah, that's right, it's Yanfei. This does require her to be at C4, but at the current moment, she is the safest defensive Pyro option for Lyney if you still wish to use an Animo character. Her monstrous shield can protect him from getting knocked around, she can buff with Noblesse and Thrilling Tales, and she can even heal with Prototype Amber to instantly stack up Lyney's Maréchaussée Hunter artifact set. Even Bennett can't help him stack as well as she can, since he can only heal Lyney after his second charge attack and they're in huge bursts. While this is a major downgrade damage-wise, Yanfei makes Lyney much easier to use. So how does Lyney look? Is he good or does he need help? This is normally where I would do my rating for the character. However, before I do, I just have to tell y'all I updated it. The last system was a bit flawed and it didn't really help show the direct power level and quality of characters. So I opened it up a bit, with each tab being scored differently than the others, just like before. But now there's 6 categories, which are all much more important and which hopefully help provide a better initial assessment. These categories are personal damage output, elemental application, offensive utility, battery potential, defensive utility, and flexibility/versatility. The ones at the top are weighted more than the ones toward the bottom. On to the rating. Lyney's personal damage output is quite large. While it is mostly just single target, he can still do decently well in AoE content, earning him a 4 out of 5. Lyney's elemental application is relatively fast. He can get off a lot of Pyro in many different bursts, and all of his damage can be easily vaped if there is ever a situation where vaping is good. However, he is lacking in AoE as he only has it with his skill and burst, so he gets a 3.5 out of 5 here. Lyney has no offensive utility to speak of until C4. While it is decent at C4, it's not insane, and not many will even have access to it, so I'm going to have to give him a 0 out of 5 here. Lyney is able to generate a lot of particles, which is very good for helping battery Xiangling. Lyney also has some flat energy generation, making him very self-sufficient, so I will give him a 3.5 out of 5 here. Lyney has some decent defensive capabilities with his taunt. It's a shame this taunt has a cooldown since it's not even that strong of defensive utility. If anything, it will net him 1 free charged shot, so I'll give him a 1 out of 5 here, though I feel like I'm being generous. And finally, it's flexibility and versatility. Yeah, he's getting a 0 here. So in total, this will net him a 2.5 out of 5 stars, making him a solid character. But now it's time for me to pass the conversation on to you. What do you think of Lyney? Do you plan to get him? What comps do you plan to try him out in? Do you think I am wrong in my assessment? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. But with that, I'm going to skedaddle. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Bye bye!